Hello friends, hope you are well. TechManPat here. Today we're reviewing the Huawei MateBook X Pro, the creme de la creme of what Huawei has to offer this buying season in the light book department. This fully aluminium chassis screams premium, but isn't it what's on the inside that really matters? Does the performance match the drapes? Is the 3K screen really necessary? And who is this exactly for? All these questions will be answered, so let's jump into the video and see if this MateBook is worth the dollaroos you're being asked to pay. Big thanks to Huawei for sending me this laptop and phone for a review. If you're wondering about the phone and why it's there in this laptop review, well, let's find out after the intro. As always, I review laptops in a fairly standardized way. I use it to write the review, edit a video or a photo, play a game, try out some of its unique features, and generally try and use it every day. So I would like to preface this with I enjoyed every second of my time with this laptop, and I'm really nitpicking at the issues I faced. To start off, let me give you the numbers on the inside. We have the 11th gen Intel Core i7, 1165G7 with Iris Xe graphics, 16 gigabytes of RAM at 3733 megahertz, 1 terabyte of PCIe SSD, 56 watt-hour battery, Wi-Fi 6, and Bluetooth 5.1, of course. What all that translates to is a very powerful little laptop. The all-aluminum chassis makes this laptop a pleasure to hold and touch. What makes it even better is the lack of fingerprints that are being left. This matte finish is incredible at keeping your grubby paws off its slick look. Now, looking around the device, we have 2 slit vents on either side underneath to keep it cool. Ports wise, on the left, we have 2 USB-C ports covering power, video out, and generally just, USB devices in the USB-C department. Next to it is a 3.5 millimeter jack, and of course, that's great to see. And on the right-hand side, we have 1 USB Type A. I would say it's just enough to avoid adapters for day-to-day use, maybe at your desk. The body feels solid with no flex on the keyboard and allowing the typical human, like myself, to hold this 14-inch laptop by the corner with no fear of snapping it off. At 1.33 kilograms and 14.6 millimeters on the thicker end, this laptop is a great travel companion. What may surprise you though is within the small size is a battery that gives you 10 to 11 hours worth of use. And keeping on the theme of body parts, let's take a look at the keyboard. It's brilliant, I have to admit. It feels better than a MacBook Air's keyboard by far. I made little to no mistakes when typing up this review on this keyboard. The travel time to the click is just right, and the size of the keys are pretty much on par with any other laptop that I've used in the past. The function key is easy enough to use when you need to tap the F keys on the top row, but I like that it is off by default, as I can probably count on my hand the amount of times I needed to tap an F key this year. Question for you, is it time to get rid of them? Are they still necessary? Let me know in the comments below. The button that I really found fascinating is the power button, a simple round fingerprint button that has a very cool feature, and it is fully integrated into the laptop's hardware. This button's unique feature is a single press login into Windows, even from a cold boot. You do not need to tap it again when reaching the Windows user screen at all, and this is absolutely great for productivity. You just tap, walk away, it boots, and off you go. This has to become a standard feature across Windows laptops, I have to say, and I even think that Apple users should be jealous. The touchpad is interesting. It has an NFC tag, more on that later. It has 8 piezoelectric plates that provide that haptic feedback, which means there are no moving parts, but it is Windows 10 and Windows has a history of bad touchpads. Unfortunately, in this case, it's better than most, but still not near the level of a Surface Book or even a MacBook. Let me explain. The feedback your fingertips get when touching is pretty nice, nothing to fault there, though it is only one level of pressure, unlike some manufacturers. The problem starts when you use more than one finger, and I don't mean 2-finger scrolling because that works really well. I tend to keep my thumb on the lower edge of the pad for clicking and then have my pointing finger do the running around. I then add a second finger to scroll, and this seems to confuse the touchpad a lot. It messes with the clicking, it locks itself to just scrolling, and then forces me to use more surface pressure to left click at all. It's a bit strange. It happens enough times to be annoying, so you have to keep your thumb off the pad and literally just use one finger or two and that's really kind of annoying. It doesn't feel as natural. Lastly, I would like to add that when using the touchpad, there is a slight delay in movement from when you first touch it after not using it for a bit. Your finger slides a few millimeters before it actually starts registering on the screen. A wireless mouse is a good option here. But here is where the MateBook starts to differ significantly and in a good way. First off, the screen, 3.9 inches of perfection. At 3000 by 2000 pixels, the screen clocks in at just under 4K at 3K with 91% screen to body ratio. The bezels here are 4.4 millimeters and the 10-point touchscreen feels solid and an absolute pleasure to use when you do get to use it. More on that in a second. The IPS panel covers 100% of the sRGB color gamut. It hits around 450 nits of brightness, making it usable in very sunny situations. And for those who work late, it comes with TUV Rhineland certificate for low blue light, which is great to keep your eyes in tip-top condition. For the professional folks, this laptop's 3:2 aspect ratio is perfect. Oddly enough, 99% of websites are still geared towards this ratio, and Photoshop is great on this resolution and aspect ratio. The screen is great for photos and video editing. My thought was, does the resolution need to be so high? And honestly, no, but I'm glad it is. It's sharp and the colors look great, and all in all, it doesn't affect the battery life. So again, big thumbs up there. What I would say though is that when it comes to such a small screen, relatively speaking, above 1440p, you can't really tell the difference at 13.9 inches. Touchscreens. They have made their way into laptops very slowly. It's not a mainstream addition due to the nature of a laptop. You sit in front of it and it's generally very thin, and not all laptops fold into tablets. This one doesn't. So why lift your hand to touch the screen when a mouse can do it quicker? You see, I found myself using it for scrolling web pages, pausing videos, pressing next on a YouTube music track. This worked well when chilling on the couch, but when it came to a desk, it was kind of cumbersome. Windows 10 isn't made for touchscreens, so my sausage fingers are useless in tasks that require precision. It always ends up being better to use the mouse or even the touchpad. With that in mind, Huawei seems to have thought of that too, and via their embedded software Huawei PC Manager, they have added fingerprint gestures for screenshots, and a lot of technology for just one task, but it works really, really well. Let me know what you think below. Do you have a touchscreen? Do you like using it on your laptop? Is that something you want to see in more laptops? Let's chat there. Now, this isn't a gaming laptop. However, if you want to jam some casual games like Age of Empires to Baldur's Gate, you can. And as always, Dota runs like nobody's business. But while the power may lack in the gaming department, it shines in productivity. Using Premiere and Photoshop has been a breeze. Relatively speaking, videos render pretty quickly without melting the laptop. And sure, with 4K video editing has its slow moments, but overall you can get your creative work done. But watch your deadlines and your onboard 1 terabyte of storage might not be enough. The fans tend to spin up often, but they are not loud. I would like to note that the best performance I had was without a secondary monitor. I found YouTube 4K playback suffered when a second monitor was plugged in, and I imagine the graphics chip was the culprit, but it could also be Windows 10. I'm not quite sure on that one. Huawei has given this laptop an interesting spin in the webcam department. It certainly ticks the box of having one. And in the throw of the keyboard sits a mechanical button that once pressed pops it up with an angled webcam. The 720p camera does the job well enough for video calls, both personal and work, and the unique mechanic will make privacy-focused folk happy. However, the location of this has a pretty bad drawback, similar to what a webcam at the bottom of a screen sometimes does. And maybe this one's even worse. And here is the camera. As you can see, it's looking right up my nose and face. And if I'm looking straight ahead at another monitor, it just doesn't make sense. Now, if I look down at the screen of the laptop, again, I'm still looking up. It just doesn't seem quite right. And the camera, as I follow the finger down here, is right there. And that's just a little bit frustrating. Now, imagine now, I'm taking notes on a meeting, and I can then type away and my fingers are flying around on the keyboard. That's just not very helpful. Also, here's a test of the audio and the microphones. They sound pretty good, enough for a laptop and a video call. As you can see, the webcam looks right up your nose, and if you're using a second monitor above the monitor like I do here, it makes it even worse. But the laptop is better with it than without it. Let me know what you think of the location of this webcam. Would you prefer it in the notch like Apple did? According to the documentation, the microphone can pick up voices from about 5 meters away. What I found is that I could sit back and talk without having to lean into it, which worked really well. Now, I cannot mention the microphone without talking about the sound. The MateBook X Pro has some really nice speakers on the left here and the right. I found the sound to be very clear and in fact, loud without distortion. Now on paper, it can also imitate virtual 5.1 and 7.1 surround sound outputs. In reality, this isn't the case, but it doesn't take away from the really nice stereo sound. Now, it's time for the killer feature of this laptop, something that blew me away. Huawei calls it multi-screen collaboration, but I think it needs a cooler name because it's that bloody awesome. If you have a Huawei mobile running EMUI 11 or above, you are in for a treat. By placing the phone on the touchpad, the NFC module connects your laptop to your phone and you can control your phone on your laptop as if you're using your mobile phone. That's right. And look, I love this feature so much and my mind was racing with ideas when I first saw it, but here are the scenarios I found that worked well when I actually started using it. First of all, the simple stuff: SMS, phone calls, Facebook Messenger, notes, and music. Great. Even answering video calls on your laptop from your phone worked really well. Then opening up the camera while screen sharing on a call to show something on your desk, let's say a document. Maybe taking photos and instantly opening them up on your laptop from your phone. Sending files back and forth by just dragging and dropping onto the window. And finally, you can open 3 apps at once to do some real multitasking. All this without touching the phone. And to note, if you have a Huawei tablet, you can do the same, but also extend the actual screen across. So who is this laptop for? Well, after using it for both work and play for about 2 weeks, it seems to me that this is for a working professional. In fact, it's pretty much perfect for me. I casually edit a video, very simple video, no heavy 3D animation. I'm in no hurry to render them quickly either. I make a thumbnail on Photoshop and I listen to some music at the same time. I use Excel heavily, but with no macros. Google Docs is my main word processor, but PowerPoint is my go-to presentation tool and it works really well on this. No lag, no stopping. And the laptop is connected to a bigger screen. I use it as a keyboard, so the keyboard works really great. Then I dial and take my phone calls from this phone on the screen here, so I don't have to grab my phone every time while I'm working at the computer. And it's just sitting there charging nearby. So when work is done, I grab the laptop, sit on the couch, browse the web with a touch screen, buy some stuff from Amazon I don't need, and play some Baldur's Gate. I then forget to charge it that evening and still have enough battery for the next day on the road. All this with no performance bottlenecks. I believe this laptop is perfect for those working from home and needing a powerful enough computer in a very small package that's easily movable to other locations in the house and probably back to the office. Also, I can imagine a full creative workflow on here, but it's going to be limited by the storage and adapters for file transfer, but would also be perfect for a university student or high school student. But here it is, the price. How much is this going to set you back? Well, the RRP is 3,000 Australian dollars for the spec and color you see here. As of this month, December 2021, it's on special for 2,300 at the Microsoft Store. Links below. I'm not sure how long that's going to last, but $700 off, right? So taking into account the current chip shortage, inflation, and general shortage of tech in the world right now, at 2,300, this laptop is a great price. At 3,000, it feels like your work should pay for it, or your parents, and then of course there's the phone, which isn't cheap either. If I wasn't heavily invested in gaming, this is the laptop I would buy as my work and daily home runner, especially if my job was Windows based. I would still have a separate webcam and a wireless mouse though. Let me know what you think of this laptop. What features stood out to you? Let me know below. Now, big thanks to Huawei for sending me this laptop and phone for a review. Links below for more information, of course. And thank you very much for watching. Make sure you like this video if you did, and subscribe if you want to support us. Thanks and bye.